Communication is not just about words. It's energy, intention, and presence in our most intimate relationships. It is the invisible thread that either brings us closer or slowly unravels the bonds we've built. As women over 40, we've learned that love isn't just about chemistry. It's about how we show up in those daily conversations. Today, I want to guide you through the art of conscious communication in relationships, a feminine approach that blends self-confidence, self-power, and emotional intelligence. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools not only to express yourself more clearly, but also to be heard, respected, and cherished without ever having to raise your voice. Hello, darling. I'm Vanessa, and welcome to Feminine Spaces. Here, women over 40 reclaim their feminine power through relationship wisdom, self-mastery, and conscious living. You belong here. Let's dive in. So, why does communication break down? Many women in midlife, women just like you and me, find themselves trapped repeating the same old patterns of communication that feel exhausting and painfully familiar. For example, if you take the argument loop, imagine you bring up a feeling of being unseen in your relationship. Maybe you say, babe, I wish we spent more time together on the weekends. Instead of being met with curiosity, your partner gets defensive. I'm always busy. What more do you want from me? Suddenly, you're not talking about longing anymore. You're fighting about who's right. And before you know it, the original desire for connection is lost in a storm of defensiveness. Then there's the silence pattern. Or maybe you've learned to hold your tongue. You don't want to be too much or start an argument. So you swallow your feelings. You stay quiet when he cancels dinner or when he's on his phone all evening. But inside, resentment slowly builds. Silence may keep the peace in the moment, but it slowly erodes the intimacy of your relationship over time. And then there's the avoidant dance. And sometimes it's not so silent. It's avoidance. You circle around important conversations, wait for the perfect moment to bring them up, but then weeks go by and the unspoken sits heavy between the two of you. Your partner feels the tension, but doesn't quite know how to bridge the gap. So you both end up retreating into your own worlds, parallel lives under the same roof. Sound familiar? It's just like roommates. These patterns are not unique to you, which is a good thing. They are the hidden struggle of countless women over 40, especially those who have carried years of responsibility, the children, careers, household, while quietly putting their own needs last. Here's the truth. Arguments, silence, and avoidance are all protective strategies. They're the nervous system's way of saying, this feels unsafe. I don't know how to stay connected here. So there's a gift in this. So when you learn the art of conscious communication, these repeating loops can finally shift. You move from reaction to intention, from silence to truth, from avoidance to presence. So here's a little psychological insight from a neuroscience perspective. It's good to think about how things work so we can adapt and be better at it. So when you and I feel unheard, our amygdala, this part of the brain, the survival brain, it takes over, shutting down empathy and clarity. And then, do you know your attachment styles? There's 4 of them. And you and I will focus on 2. The anxious partner often overtalks, avoidant. The partner withdraws, creating a painful dance. To tell the truth, most conflicts are not about what is said, but about what's not said. It's the unsaid fears, the unsaid longings, and the wounds that stay hidden. So then the question is, why do women in midlife fall into these communication loops? Here's the truth. My darling, these communication patterns don't come out of nowhere. They are born out of psychology, conditioning, and the invisible stories we've carried with us for decades. Think about your childhood conditioning. This is where we can start. Childhood conditioning. Many of us are raised to be good girls, to keep the peace, not upset anyone, and not rock the boat. So when conflict arises in a relationships, silence feels safer than honesty. Even now, as grown women, our nervous system can pull us back into that little girl role, choosing quiet, compliant over authentic expression. And it takes many years to develop the new skills in order to learn something different. So there's 4 different types of attachment styles, and today we're focusing on 2. Psychology teaches us that how we bond in childhood influences how we communicate in love in our adult relationships. So if you lean towards anxious, you might over-explain, talk too much, or try to convince your partner to see your side, which leads to further arguments. If you lean into avoidance, you might shut down, withdraw, or minimize your needs, which also leads to silence. So if you're the secure and your partner isn't, you might find yourself pulled into their pattern and losing your own voice in this recurring, endless process. And then, if you want to add us women when we hit menopause, there's the hormonal shifts. As estrogen begins to decline in premenopause and menopause, the hormone that once made us more accommodating and more people-pleasing, that softness, she stops. Suddenly, things we once let slide feel unbearable. Women describe this as their truth voice, and it's becoming louder. This can be liberating, but not if you're not channeling it consciously, because it can actually fuel more conflict. And then there's the generational beliefs about marriage and womanhood. Many women in our feminine spaces community were taught, be grateful you have a husband. Don't nag him too much. Men hate to be nagged and they don't like drama. Have you heard of the good wife sacrifices? These old scripts are still running in the background, and they can silence our authentic voice and make us doubt whether our needs even matter. And then there's the fear of losing love. At its core, argument, silence, and avoidance are protective strategies. They are ways our nervous system tries to keep love from slipping away. That anxious woman, she argues because she's terrified of disconnection. The silent woman, she hides her truth because she fears rejection. And then the avoidant woman, she withdraws because vulnerability feels dangerous. But here's the beautiful truth, my love. Communication isn't about controlling the outcome. No, seriously, it's not. It's about choosing courage over conditioning. It's about conscious communication, which allows us to rewrite those old patterns. So instead of reacting from fear, we respond from self-confidence and our own soft, feminine power. So what does conscious communication really mean? If you look at it as a mathematical formula, it's conscious communication equals awareness plus intention plus compassion. So if you break it down, awareness is noticing your own triggers before reacting. Intention is all about asking yourself, am I trying to connect or am I trying to win? And then there's compassion, which is about remembering that your partner has a nervous system, wounds, and fears too. Most importantly, you're both on the same team. And then the spiritual lens, because every word you speak carries an energy blueprint. When it comes from your feminine essence, it has the power to soften, to heal, and to magnetize love towards you. Did you know that there is a psychology of words, tones, and energy? It's called the science of tone. 7% words, 38% tone, 58% is body language by the Mahabarian communication model. So it's not what you say, it's how your nervous system feels when you say it. Your mirror neurons is when we speak calmly, our partner's brain mirrors safety. Here we are, you and I, in our soft feminine power, speaking with confidence, but not control. Anchoring in self-worth, not in need for validation. Pausing instead of rushing, because silence can be the most magnetic answer. Let us focus on practical feminine communication tools which help us become better. Tool number 1, pause before responding. Breathe, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, what am I trying to say now? Number 2 is use I statements, not you statements, which can come across as accusations. Try, I feel overlooked when versus, you never listen. Number 3, curiosity over judgment. Replace, why are you doing this? With, can you help me understand what you're feeling right now? See the difference? Number 4, the power of appreciation. Compliments are not fluff. They rewire your partner's brain to feel safe and valued. Number 5, boundaries with softness. Boundaries are not walls, they're invitations. Here's an example. I love connecting with you, and I also need 30 minutes after work to ground myself before we talk. That saves marriages. Now, let's talk about building self-confidence in communication. From a psychological perspective, women who downplay their needs often come from childhood conditioning. You know, the don't rock the boat. Confidence grows when you prove to yourself that your voice won't destroy love. It deepens it. Now, let us review 3 little practices that we can apply, like mirror work, which is practicing speaking your truth daily. Do it for yourself. You can also do journaling, which is writing conversations you wish you had to clarify for your truth. And anchoring in your body. Soften your shoulders, elongate your breath. Confidence lives in posture, just as much as your words. And then there's soft feminine power. This is your reminder. You don't have to speak louder to be heard. You simply have to speak from your truth and trust in the resonance. Let us close with a little hocus pocus, conscious communication ritual. Here are 3 simple rituals that you and your couple can do weekly. First one is check-in ritual. Once a week, sit down with each other and ask each other, what has felt good between us this week and what has been challenging? Take turns, respectfully expand when necessary. Number 2 is the gratitude exchange. Before bed, share one thing you appreciate about each other. And then there's sacred listening. Take turns talking for 5 minutes without interruption. Ask your partner to only mirror back what they heard. I can share with you that these 3 exercises have changed how my husband and I show up for one another in our relationship. With that said, my love, conscious communication is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about choosing every day to listen deeper, speak kinder, and to anchor into your feminine essence where true confidence lives. When you learn to master this art, your relationships will shift, not because you forced anyone to change, but because you became a safe space where one can thrive. Remember, when a woman is rooted in her soft, feminine power, her words become medicine, and that medicine can heal not just her relationships, but her entire world. Thank you, my darling, for spending this sacred time with me. If today's video stirred something in your spirit, let it be more than just inspiration. Let it be a gentle invitation back to yourself. Be sure to subscribe and share this video with one of your fellow sisters who need it. We all need it. And leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. And remember, you're not too late. You're not too much. And never too far gone. Here in Feminine Spaces, we rise in beauty, truth, and grace together. Because when a woman is in her feminine essence, she is undeniable. Until next time, stay soft, stay rooted, and stay sovereign. Pussly puss.